Well, great game the other day. The more I've watched, fun college game, probably the most fun game that I've coached in. Obviously, we didn't win, but just back and forth. 19 lead changes, I believe, and just at the end of the day, they made one more big play than we did. And give Bronson Canyon credit, made a tough shot. And our guys are still, we feel good about our team. We had a great practice yesterday. Maybe the best of the year. So I think our guys feel like they're playing well. They're confident. They're excited about a tough opportunity on the road. Ohio State's won 2 or 3. Beat Nebraska at Nebraska, tough place to play. Michigan State at home, and lost a close one to Northwestern. So we know it'll be a tough one, but we're excited about it.
So when you address your team after a game like that and you have a chance to digest it, how do you handle it as a coach? Because you're in that fragile area where you lost the game but you played well and you don't want to lose confidence. What do you point out? What do you tell them?
We kind of break it down pretty simply as good and bad when we're evaluating the game. And like versus Penn State, there was a lot of bad, not a lot of good. We addressed the bad, but then I would say about 70% of the clips were good. So as a coach, you don't ignore the score. I mean, the score is important, obviously. But you try to break it down as simple as, are you executing? Are you doing the right things? For them offensively, when you make plays, you feel good about yourself. Like when we lost at Penn State, we was 52-50. We didn't feel good about ourselves because we weren't making plays. But guys were making plays. And, we talked about if, you got better on that week off. Offensively, you got better. You did some really good things versus one of the best teams in the league. So, we'll play them again and see if we can find a way to steal one on the road versus them. But, guys were really, really good yesterday. That was a terrific practice.
How do you anticipate Ohio State after beating the first time like that? And now you get in this chess match, okay, what are they going to do different based on what they saw from this first game? How do you go about that?
We probably overrate their preparation for us as well as our preparation for them because, you got to worry about your own team a lot. Like they just lost a tough one at home. So I'm sure Coach Mata is really locked into his team as well as preparation of our team. But, when you lose, you really, really lock on your team. And I'm sure they're doing that. We're doing that as well. But also understanding they're going to adjust to what we're doing. We got to adjust to what they're doing. Jaquan Lyles playing terrific basketball. It's always tough to win there. So it's a little bit of a balance of both. Get your team better as well as prepare for the next game.
Richard, when you have a young guy, a freshman like Curry, who makes a shot like that, what do you think it does for the kid's confidence development, that type of thing?
Yeah, that was a big shot. Put us up 2. He's made some big shots this year at Purdue, made a huge 3. I think he's going to be a terrific player. We've brought him along slowly. Much has to do with Murph playing well at the beginning. But, I think that Eric's got another dimension. Like he made a really good move on the right wing and then threw it out of bounds last game. He makes some terrific moves. He's still got to work on the finished part of it. But he should be confident. I think he's going to be a very good player down the road.
Obviously, Akeem played really well in that game. What do you think he adds to the starting lineup, getting that scoring?
Confidence. That's the biggest thing. Just really, really a confident guy. That comes with fifth-year senior, comes with winning big games, doing those things. He's a terrific leader. He wants to hit the big shot. Obviously he did that and almost made the last one too. So he's very, very confident. He's got an infectious personality when it comes to leadership. He's older and he appears older, and we need that on this team because we're very young.
He's a fifth-year senior, but he got here very late. How have you seen him sort of grow and get used to everything that you guys have going here?
Yeah, him and Reggie. Reggie wasn't able to practice, and Akeem didn't get here till late. So we thought it would take some time, but he's adjusted. Akeem has adjusted extremely well. We have a different system than what he came from at Milwaukee, but I think he's really, really starting to be solid, offensively, defensively, and giving us a terrific spark.
Were you happy with the way Dupree responded to the lineup change, both with his attitude and the way he played?
Terrific, yeah. He has a great attitude. He doesn't really care about starting. We had a 1-minute conversation. It's pretty simple. He just wants to win, and he was very good versus Wisconsin. He's never once had an ego. I remember when we signed Akeem. kind of asked about it. We said, think it'll help the team win. He said, no problem. So he's a team guy, wants to win, and he's got a very, very bright future.
Richard, did you have a good sense about Akeem's personality during this whole recruitment process when you're adding a guy who's played a lot and sort of has a dominant presence?
Yes and no. He's kind of a free spirit in a good way. When we recruited him and we went to his, to Milwaukee to visit him, you could tell he's a confident kid, a smart kid, an analytical kid. He's not. He was mature, and we thought that part of it would really help. It was a bit of a bummer that he didn't get here till September because he had to finish up summer school. So, I thought it was with fifth-year seniors, it's tough if they're not playing a lot right away. It's hard, and I get it. So now that he's comfortable with his role, he's provided great leadership.
Easier when he's a shooter too, and you're not asking him to be a point guard and run the whole show, but you're saying you know what he does, spot up and shoot it. Does that make the transition quicker because you ask him to do less?
Maybe, yeah, and I also think he's playing around other good guards. Nate's a good guard, Dupree's a good guard, Amir's a good guard, and he's a good guard. So, you try to get these older guys, much like junior college players, to take their time, but understanding that the hourglass is running out. And it's a challenge. They need to taste success early, or else they may get a little frustrated. And he's done that. And credit to him. We brought him off the bench at the beginning, and he's been really good about it. And he took advantage of the opportunity to start and play major minutes in the crunch. And he carried us.
When you look at a stat sheet in the Big Ten at the end of the game, do you have a balance or perfect formula where you want to see so many points from the low post, so many from guards? Does that matter to you?
It's hard. It's hard to say. If Reggie's in foul trouble, which he's been, 5 of 7, he's been fouled out. So if he'd stop fouling out, he'd get more touches and more points. And I tell him all the time, Reggie, it can't be the ref's fault all the time. At some point here, you're going to understand that you are fouling out. So he needs to play. He needs to get touches. But other than that, I don't know. I think we've got a pretty balanced attack. We've been moving the ball better. Last game, we really moved it much better, passed the ball, shared the ball. So I don't know exactly, but when Reggie's in, he needs to touch the ball.
Richard, off that, what do you see from him in the way he is adjusting or not adjusting to the way he's being called, or is he being too aggressive at times? What's kind of leading to the
I think
problem?
this league there are a lot of smart players, really smart players, and they know how to, I don't want to say manipulate the refs, but they know how to get one. And you've got to counter some of the guys' intelligence by being even smarter and knowing what they're trying to do. Like I thought a couple of his fouls, if he just would have seen what the opponent was trying to do and been smarter, he would have been fine. Some of it is, he's just trying to block the shot too much on the ball. But he's just got to learn. He hasn't played against this type of competition for a long time. But enough is enough already. Stop fouling out.
With Akeem, obviously him being a captain, he wasn't a returning player, but Jordan and Nate are. They're not maybe playing the best offensively right now, and Akeem is starting, and he's had a pretty good game. How big is it for him to kind of have a bigger role so that his voice is maybe heard a little bit more?
I think he's extremely confident right now. And confidence breeds confidence with everybody else. And we talked yesterday, and I just said to him, I said, I thought Nate played really good versus Wisconsin, but he was 3 for 14. So in his mind, he didn't play well. That's natural. So I talked to Akeem about, you got to get Murph and Nate to be confident again. And he was very, very good in practice yesterday. And Nate and Murph were really good. And I think a lot of that had to do with Akeem's leadership. Because confidence is, I'm always going to try to get these guys confident. I think I do a pretty decent job of that. I try to build them up as much as possible. But, you got to see it. And it helps when you get it from other teammates. And Akeem's pretty good about that.
And with Jordan, he doesn't necessarily have to, score. Like you said, you've been pleased with how he's played, even though he hasn't shot the ball well.
He's not a great shooter. He's not a great scorer.
Right.
So he needs to get over that. And we talked about that. Doesn't mean you're not a good player. Like you'll get to that point. But I don't see that as his game. And he could still be darn good without doing those things. So we talked a little bit about that yesterday. Just understanding that, I don't know if you're going to be extremely effective on the block all the time just yet. But you can do a lot of other really, really good things, and he was good yesterday in practice. I think he understands that.
Coach McBrayer provided a lot about off the bench the other day, and do you think he's just more comfortable in that role, or he's just trying to be a team player at this point?
I don't think he cares. I just don't think he cares about off the bench starting, and I don't put a lot of stock into it, so maybe that's why. I do like bringing him off the bench because I have the flexibility to sub him in as the one of the two, where with Akeem I had to sub him in for Dupree. Well, now I can get a better feel of, okay, is Nate playing well? Is Akeem playing well? Is somebody tired? So I do like having that flexibility. But I just think Dupree is extremely low maintenance. He's no maintenance, none at all. It shows on the court. And I think he's going to be a terrific player.
Richard, when Coffee is driving to the basket, if you're a big man, you better be looking right for his.
Yeah.
Are those on him or is that on the big man?
Probably both. The one he threw to Bakari needed to be a bounce pass. He got Reggie one time on a good look. But yeah, I like having him drive, going right to left to his left hand. But those bigs need to see it, and they need to anticipate it. But he needs to throw a softer pass too. So it's a little bit of both, but it's a good weapon to have.
Richard, are you seeing any kind of hesitation from Nate right now with his shot, or is he taking good shots and just?
I thought last game he took good shots. I thought last game he played well. I didn't think he played well at all versus Penn State, and you could tell. Last game I just thought, he went 3 for 14. He could have gone 6 for 14 and had a darn good game, 10 assists, all those things. So, I thought he was confident, playing well. It's just one of those things you need to see the ball going a couple times. And just rep it out as much as you possibly can in practice, and that'll help him gain confidence. So I don't really worry about him too much. I mean, I don't think he's not a Steph Curry type shooter. That's not really his game. And he'll get going a little bit better than he's been going, but he's playing well.
You mentioned confidence. You guys have had some close games the last two, but you still have lost 3 in a row. Is this a pivotal week in the season?
No,
where you guys
it's
are?
January. I don't look at that. There's a lot of basketball to be played. I don't feel like we're reeling. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel that at all. We lost 2 on the road, and we lost one of the best teams in the league. If we keep playing basketball the way that we played versus Wisconsin, the way that we practiced, we'll win some games. It's tough to win on the road. It's tough to beat Wisconsin. But that was a darn good game, and we played well. Penn State, we had a chance to win the game, just didn't do it. Michigan State, we stunk that game, and they were really good. But I feel good about where we're at. I don't think there's a whole lot of panic right now. I think everybody's pretty excited.